Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some of the biggest cover-ups in history. We're talking about the secrets hidden in the shadows. This is next-level conspiracy stuff, guys. So grab your tinfoil hats because things are about to get weird. Are you ready? Let's do it. Picture it, 1947, Roswell, New Mexico. It's hot and suddenly, boom! Something crashes from the sky. The military rushes in, locks down the area and claims it's just a weather balloon. A weather balloon? Right off the bat, people were suspicious. Witnesses talked about seeing weird debris, metal that couldn't be scratched, even whispers of bodies. Not human bodies, guys. The government stuck to their story for years, but the rumors wouldn't die. People dug into military records, finding inconsistencies and missing documents. It became a real-life X-Files episode. To this day, nobody really knows what went down in Roswell. Was it a UFO, a Soviet spy plane, something even weirder? All right, Watergate, you hear that word and you think of Nixon, right? The scandal that brought down a president. But what really went down at the Watergate Hotel that night? Was it just a simple break-in or something much bigger? Investigators found connections to the White House and the CIA, a tangled web of lies and deceit. The break-in was just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking illegal wiretapping, secret slush funds, enemies lists. Nixon and his cronies tried to cover up a massive abuse of power and almost got away with it. Watergate made everyone way more suspicious of the government. This one is dark. It's a story that reveals the depths of human cruelty and the extent to which trust can be shattered. We're talking about the Tuskegee syphilis study, a horrifying example of government deception and medical racism that went on for 40 years. This study is one of the most egregious violations of ethical standards in the history of American medicine. Starting in 1932, the US Public Health Service decided to study the effects of untreated syphilis on black men in rural Alabama. These men were promised free medical care, meals, and burial insurance, but they were never informed of their diagnosis. They told these men they were getting free health care, but never actually gave them any treatment, even after penicillin became widely available. The men were misled and used as subjects in a cruel experiment. They lied to them, withheld life-saving medication, and treated them like lab rats. The doctors involved in the study showed a complete disregard for human life and dignity. Many died from syphilis, passed it on to their wives, and some children were born with the disease. The impact of this betrayal rippled through generations, causing untold suffering and loss. It's a stain on American history. The Tuskegee syphilis study is a dark chapter that highlights the systemic racism and abuse of power that has plagued the nation. The Tuskegee study is a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and systemic racism. It serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of ethical standards in medical research. It wasn't until 1972, after a whistleblower came forward, that the study was shut down and the truth revealed. The public outrage that followed led to significant changes in how medical research is conducted. It's a story that still makes my blood run cold. The Tuskegee syphilis study remains a powerful reminder of the need for vigilance in protecting human rights and dignity. Iran-Contra, a deal with the devil. We're talking about the Iran-Contra affair, a scandal so wild it'll make your head spin. In the 1980s, the Reagan administration wanted to fund anti-communist rebels in Nicaragua, but Congress said no. So they secretly sold weapons to Iran under an arms embargo and used the money to fund the Contras. They also used the arms sales to negotiate the release of American hostages in Lebanon. The Iran-Contra affair showed us that the government was willing to break the law and deceive the American people to get what they wanted. Chernobyl. The meltdown they tried to hide. Chernobyl. The name itself sends shivers down your spine. It conjures images of desolation, abandonment, and a haunting silence that lingers in the air. On April 26, 1986, a reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded, releasing massive amounts of radiation into the atmosphere. The explosion was catastrophic, sending plumes of radioactive material far and wide. It was the worst nuclear disaster in history, and the Soviet government's first instinct was to cover it up. They wanted to maintain their image of control and power, even as the situation spiraled out of control. They tried to keep the disaster quiet, but they couldn't hide the truth forever. The scale of the disaster was too immense and the effects too far-reaching. Radiation levels spiked across Europe and the world started asking questions. Scientists and governments from other countries began to detect unusual levels of radiation, leading to a global outcry. Eventually, the Soviet Union was forced to admit the truth, but by then, it was too late. The damage had been done and the world was left to grapple with the consequences of the cover-up. The Chernobyl cover-up had a devastating impact on the health and environment of millions. The long-term effects of radiation exposure are still being felt today with increased rates of cancer and other health issues. It showed us that governments are often more concerned with protecting their own image than with the well-being of their citizens. It's a sobering thought, and a lesson that history has taught us time and again, a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and accountability. In the end, the truth always comes to light, and the cost of hiding it can be devastating. The Panama Papers, secrets and lies of the super-rich. We're diving into the world of offshore tax havens, shell corporations, and the super-rich hiding their money. In 2016, millions of documents were leaked from a Panamanian law firm, exposing a massive network of offshore accounts used by wealthy individuals and corporations to avoid paying taxes. We're talking politicians, celebrities, CEOs. These documents revealed how the 1% were using shady tactics to hide their wealth, sparking outrage around the world. It was like a glimpse behind the curtain, showing us that the system is rigged in favor of the wealthy and powerful. The Panama Papers showed us that we can't always trust the people in charge. The fight for economic justice is far from over. The Catholic Church abuse scandal, silence and shame. This one is tough to talk about, but it's important. The pain and suffering endured by countless individuals cannot be overstated. The Catholic Church abuse scandal is a heartbreaking example of how powerful institutions can protect abusers and silence victims. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power. For decades, reports of sexual abuse by priests were ignored or covered up by the church hierarchy. This systemic failure allowed the abuse to continue unabated. Victims were silenced, abusers were moved to different parishes, and the cycle of abuse continued. The betrayal felt by the faithful is immeasurable. The courage of survivors who came forward eventually forced the church to acknowledge the extent of the abuse and implement some reforms. Their bravery cannot be understated. But the scars of this scandal run deep, and the fight for justice is ongoing. Healing is a long and arduous process. We need to stand with survivors, hold abusers accountable, and work to create a world where these horrors are never repeated. Only through collective action can we hope to prevent such tragedies in the future. The NSA, they're listening. Remember that feeling you get when you think someone's watching you? Yeah, that's what this next cover-up is about. We're talking about the NSA surveillance program, a massive government operation spying on our phone calls, emails, and internet activity. In 2013, Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor, blew the whistle on the program, leaking classified documents that revealed the shocking extent of the government's spying. They were collecting data on millions of Americans, even those with no ties to terrorism. The NSA claimed they were just trying to keep us safe, but it felt like a massive invasion of privacy. The NSA surveillance program showed us that Big Brother is real and they're watching. Flint water crisis, poisoned by the government. This one hits close to home. We're talking about the Flint water crisis, a horrifying example of government negligence and environmental racism. In 2014, the city of Flint, Michigan, switched its water source to save money. But the new water source was contaminated with lead, and the city didn't properly treat it. Thousands of residents, including children, were exposed to dangerously high levels of lead. Government officials tried to cover it up, denying there was a problem even as residents complained about the discolored, foul-smelling water. The Flint water crisis is a stark reminder that we need to hold our elected officials accountable for protecting our health and safety. The Epstein scandal. What really happened? This one is seriously messed up. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, the wealthy financier accused of sex trafficking underage girls. Epstein was connected to some of the most powerful people in the world, including politicians, celebrities, and royalty. When he was found dead in his jail cell in 2019 under suspicious circumstances, it raised a lot of questions. Was Epstein murdered to silence him? What did his powerful friends know about his crimes? And how far up does this conspiracy go? The Epstein scandal is a dark reminder that there are some very powerful people in this world who are above the law. It's a story about money, power, and the abuse of both. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's biggest secrets. Let me know in the comments which cover-up shocked you the most, and if there are any other topics you'd like me to cover. Until next time, stay curious. And remember, don't believe everything you hear. Do your own research, ask questions, and always be skeptical.